Two-tone and L-E-L-N-E-S-S-N. Yes, we are the very best.
$7 popping collars, eating shrimp. $5 met some girls from Guatemala, now they trying to holler.
Now before they would have bothered, now I'm trying to be a scholar, cause she giving all the knowledge to me.
Knowledge to me.
Doing her work every night of the week.
Night of the week.
Like she chillin' up at college with me.
College with me, but we cruising, man. Rolling up at 430. Kush same color as a Kobe Road jersey. Or a throwback worthy. Giraffe ass high. Fresh breeze just passing us by.
Cause I'm cruising
on a Sunday afternoon. I got my good shoes on. Ain't got no bad news. Here's what you say to the lady. Let me squeeze you. Oh, let me hold you. Oh, let me squeeze you. Oh, let me hold you. Why? Cause I don't wanna leave this party, baby, without you. What you waiting for? Hop in the ride.
Okay.
What you waiting for? Hop in the ride. So I arrive at a party at 9. I reside beside Sim. Think when we fly, time's on our side. But look again, then it's 11 p.m. Chalk it on the board. Time to sin. Let's begin. Hey, you're kinda cute, and I got the loot to befriend both you and your girlfriend too.
You single Tim Jones?
Well, that depends. Just then she turned to a friend and she said,
I really like him.
Say word.
I really like him.
Oh yeah.
I really, 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 really like.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to JCT TV. I'm Papa T. To my right, we have the outstanding JDX, the prospector of the few, and I'm so glad that they welcomed me back once again to be aboard and to communicate on the subject matter. Today is one of a very serious issue, and it's going to be sacrifice and repudiation. And before we go all the way in, we have returning to this platform. You've seen her at other events around JCT TV, but returning to the platform of the few for a woman's view today, none other than Jatrice Ghali. We want to thank Sky 13 for opening up the doors, allowing us in to do what we do, and that sensational engineer, none other than Big Al, Chief Engineer, JCT TV and Productions. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hop directly into the subject matter and see what comes forth. Hopefully something great for you, us, and everyone else, but especially you, this is the viewers. JDX, what comes to mind when you think of sacrifice and repudiation?
As I always say before, perhaps whenever you come up with a topic, it's always a topic of great interest that others, you make everybody's mind work. And when I see when we have to think of sacrifice, the things that people do to show their sacrificial giving, it's always a blessing to sit back and look back and see what others have done for us, to sacrifice their part of their life, to see that what we need, we always get it from the beginning of creation, from the day you were born. The first sacrifice we get is from our mothers. And then while we're growing, we find teachers sacrifice their life to educate us. And then we ourselves come in, we get our dreams, we find our purpose, and then we start sacrificing for our families and friends. But they have some great men in the society, as you and I was talking last night, that has dedicated their life purposely to see that we as a people, the journey, the battle of our journey in life, to be part of the society that we are living in, to find our space and square in this life as human beings that's supposed to enjoy the liberty, the freedom of life itself, the way they give their lives to that battle, and to see the amount of their youth to reach old age that they dedicate their life. I think we should always look to say thanks to some of those great men. And I call a few names to you last night, like Brother Al Sharpton, Mr. Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan. Especially now we have this great brother. I was thinking about him after we left last night talking. Brother Omar, Dr. Omar.
Okay.
Is another brother who's on the battlefield, really fighting for our liberation and our freedom, and who's looking to see that we as a people should come to the knowledge of our true self. And he's sacrificing a lot of himself for us too. Okay. And even the work that you are doing here today, you are sacrificing every second Saturday of the month to see that you bring up one of the always the best of topic. so that people can learn and come to the acknowledgement of self and
Indeed.
the reality of life.
Indeed.
So sacrifice is a big topic which we cannot even find one square to say that's what sacrifice means, because so many different angles in sacrifice that the word itself is so broad. And I hope you can help me out with some of the topics that I just brought up.
Okay. One thing I want to do while we were on the subject of paying respect and homage to those who pioneered the past before us is we can never forget the outstanding and sensational Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the Marcus Garvey, the W.E.B. Du Bois, and Frederick Douglass. And I advise everyone to go and read up on some of these things, not just know a basic principle that this person did this or that person did that, but to actually read up on their philosophies.
Yes, sir.
Because once you begin to study the philosophy of a man is when you really come to understand the man, because that's his mind in expression.
True.
Right? And if you see that he's truly passionate about his mission, then from his heart emanates great things. Right? As when Farad Muhammad came initially and he taught folks, he not only taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but he taught Sweet Daddy Grace and Father Divine as well, and those are names that people should look up
And this is the names
study.
I didn't even know about it until you had brought them to my attention.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know,
The Lord is good. You know, my total philosophy is each one teach one, together we all grow wiser. Because the minute that, as you expressed on one of the other shows, I believe it was Bonafide Truth, that the minute that an individual claims that he knows everything, he just lied, because the second that he said that, a whole bunch of new information was created. Right? And that's why that we crave the computer system and so forth, because it's the information highway, and it'll let you know. You don't know everything. You don't know everything.
And I mean, when you reach on that plateau, there is so much more to learn from that little piece that you think you know.
Yes.
Because in that little needle of edge of the needle,
Indeed.
that wisdom and knowledge is so broad that you cannot never finish get the depth of it.
Indeed. That's why a lot of folks, you know, we talk about the grand architect of the universe, because only the grand architect could have designed this great design that we exist and experience called life. But the thing is that you have to remember he has other titles as well, such as infinite intelligence. And that's what makes him God Almighty, because we may be small gods, but the thing is that God Almighty is ever increasing in knowledge, because knowledge is that power. You understand? They tell you in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. So that's telling you the essence of God is the Word, because that's what brings you to the light of understanding.
And that you hit the hammer to the head. Even when you have the knowledge and you do not have the proper understanding of the thing, you're still not grasping it, because you may have the wisdom, you may have the knowledge, but do you understand it?
Understand it.
And when you understand it, perhaps it becomes like drinking a cup of tea, because you don't think to breathe.
Yes,
you just breathe.
There you
now,
go.
so when you learn the thing, just like in my work, I learn the art, you see how I do it, because I understand it.
Indeed.
So then it becomes so simple when you understand it. But you see, until you understand it, no matter how much knowledge you have,
Indeed.
you still don't know what you have.
Indeed. You know, that's why they tell you those that have eyes, let them see and perceive, and those that have ears, let them hear and understand. Because when we start talking about knowledge itself, you hear around here all the time, either you or myself expressing the fact that knowledge without application is void, right? Vision without execution is simply hallucination, right? So the thing is that a key word that was expressed to me this week by a profound young man as we went for hours communicating, and he said, yes, but the key is the difference between successful individuals and unsuccessful individuals is that key word called action. Because knowing it and not applying it, or having an idea and not executing it, not putting the muscle behind the hustle, it's naught.
It's not, because as we say, even you have all the wisdom and all the understanding, and you don't have the understanding of it, because it says, after all, give me understanding.
Indeed. And before, as I said, I'm going to have Lady Jatrice Godley come and replace me shortly after we go to our sponsors for this week. The other keyword, repudiation. Repudiation is the validation or the total rejection of anything. So I'm going to actually be excited standing back or sitting back and actually seeing how you two great individuals actually tie in sacrifice with repudiation and repudiation with sacrifice. Because sacrifice is a great thing. As JDX was telling you, that without sacrifice, what's really going to occur? Because I'm sacrificing my time, and therefore my time is what? When you really multiply it by its true essence, you're multiplying it times energy. Mm-hmm. Energy creates force. Force creates velocity, right? And velocity creates action. So we have to be about the business, about
and
making
we
it
have
happen.
to, and that is why it says honor your mother and father, because when you have to look at the sacrifice of you being a baby helplessly, and if the mother had to withdraw all her blessings of sacrifice in what she had to offer you to become who you are today,
Indeed.
you would never be in there.
You would have never advanced.
No, sir. We would
With
have.
that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump out your way. We're going to go over to our sponsors for this week, and we'll be right back with JDX and the lovely Jatrice Golly. Outstanding, my brother.
Blessing, always a blessing.
Get your copy today. Media Guru. All the news you need to use to get where you want to be, when you want to be, and how you want to be it. Media Guru, get your copy today.
And we're back. How's it going, guys? It's Jatrice. I'm here with JDX.
Always a pleasure, Patrice, seeing you whenever I come in the studio.
And the subject is sacrifice and repudiation. Now, we already went through the fact of sacrifice, and it's very a broad word, pretty much, because there's many ways how it can go. Now, what about repudiation?
I mean, repudiation is always the opposite of sacrifice. Either you give your all or you don't. As Papa was saying earlier, if you do not execute, that means you are not giving it up. But if you execute, you are giving your all. So at the end of the day, it still comes to the point of knowing that where do you stand in the battle of this life that we are living? Because we are living in a world where every one of us has a responsibility. And the responsibility is to give up your best of what you have,
Right.
to sacrifice yourself for the benefit of each other. Because we don't live for ourselves, we live for each other. No matter what we do under the sun, we always help. We don't go and help a plan. We help the plan, but who do help us when we fall? It's another human like ourselves. So we always work, no matter how we put it under the sun, we live for each other.
Right.
And the blessing that God sent us into the world with, it is to benefit each other. And it is for the cause of humanity. And the most important part of this subject to me is what amount of effort are you putting into the life that He has given you to bless others? Not because by blessing others you bless yourself. And when I look at it and I see what it takes for us to become who we are, we had to walk through a journey to the stage of where we are today. And we are still growing through that journey to even do better or worse. And I choose on my own to always be a part of those that will look back in the end and say, he did his best. And he gave his best shot. So to me now, my sacrifice is always be an example in what I say, in what I do, and in my execution of the way I live my life. Because right now I don't only live for myself no more, I live for my sons, for my 4 boys. So that means I have to sacrifice a lot of stuff that I know that will benefit them tomorrow. It may not be always what they may think it is today, but when they grow up older tomorrow, they'll say, yes, my dad was telling me something that I did not have the understanding to understand, but now I can see what he was talking about.
Yeah. For me, it's more or less the fact of me having to be able to give my talent and time and skill to be able to actually help anyone else or see to benefit myself. So pretty much is how I actually see it.
But how do you really see repudiation? What do you see in that word, repudiation?
When I see that, I am trying to understand the fact of the rejection, of the denial of something that's valid. When I actually hear that word, when I think about it. So, but and I try to actually understand how it affects me and affects others when it comes down to that. But then again, I deal with rejection. I pretty much take it and run with it.
So you see, you make a rejection your stepping stone. It's like you pile up the negativity into a big brick wall and then manifest yourself, jump over the wall with it. And as we said earlier on, sacrifice comes in a lot of ways.
Right.
And because we are living in a world where we as a people, because I always tell Pops, my passion is for my people. My sacrifice is always for my people. I don't have the energy to say I want to carry everybody.
Right.
Because we are the lowest at the bottom of the barrel. And my job is to always call my other brothers and sisters to come up to the level of humanity, because we are living on beneath the level of true civilization today, because we chase after others, what others have tell us about their self, and we ourselves have such a rich history that we've lost it, and then we are becoming the subject of scorn for others, where we are the best of the human family. And my job is to see that we as a people, the sacrificial gift of myself is to see that we as a people come to the knowledge of true self, God, and the devil, and mankind. Because as an aboriginal man of African descent, we are not ordinary mankind. We are man and not a kind of a man. And if my people can come to the knowledge of knowing that you are the first and the last, you are the alpha and the omega, you are the cream of the crop, and I can sacrifice my life just to repeat those words 1,000,000 and 1,000,000,000 times, that you could come to the knowledge of knowing that you don't belong where you think you are, but we belong on the level of a plane that others have to look up to us instead of we looking up to them. Because even while we are not looking, while we are in that condition, they are looking to us for example in everything we do, and we are so blind to it, thinking that they are not looking, because we are the trend directors. We are always the pilot of the ship. We are always the chauffeur of the vehicle. But because we are so brainwashed and discriminated upon, and the burden of carrying the stigma of Willie Lynch everywhere we go, I wish we could have broken it, destroyed it completely, and just come to the true knowledge of our own self, of who we are under the sun. So that's my sacrifice. So when it comes for the repudiation part of it, I am for the part that says I give my all.
Okay. So basically when it comes down to it, it's the fact of starting with yourself first before you can actually... You
have to learn to love self first. Because if you don't love self, how could you love somebody else?
That's true.
So it says, do unto yourself, do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. Because if I see you in a condition, I'm not going to judge you first. I need to know why are you in this condition before I point my finger. Because sometimes circumstances put you there, not that you yourself draw yourself into it, but because of the circumstance that you are in, you find yourself in that position. So you have to stand back and always look and find out, why is that person there before you judge that person? And why is that person doing that or saying that? What moved that person to behave like that?
So basically it's the fact that somebody else in a certain circumstance instead of judging them for the fact of them being in there, is understanding why.
Understanding why. And if you understand why they are in there, because if you have the knowledge and the understanding of it, then you can solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's now, if that person that you are trying to reach is in that problem and see themselves in that problem, then they can, salvation comes to them where the problem is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I can actually understand, see that, and I see that quite a bit with some people where it's like, hey, it's the fact of you having to understand and be able to help them solve the problem, so that way they don't feel as if there's no hope.
And there is always hope.
Yeah.
No matter how down you are in the bottom of the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
there is always hope.
Yep.
And this, let me just draw it out. Papa T said something to me the last time. He said, Daniel, what is the most important part of your life? And I was thinking about it, and he said, do you know that breathing is the best part of your life, as long as you can breathe? Just imagine if someone hold your head underneath the water.
Mm-hmm.
What will be the thing that you wish to do that you cannot do while your head is underneath the water?
Breathe.
You cannot breathe. And when you want it that much, and you know you need it that much, what will you do? You will fight to the last breath just to come and take one last breath, just because you want to breathe. And that is life. So I tell everybody, there is always hope. Just never stop breathing.
Yeah. Well, of course, for me, it would be like seeing how long I can before figuring out how to actually get back up to breathe again.
No, because that person who's holding you down, if you catch them with your fingernail, you'll scratch them out. If you catch them with your teeth, you'll bite them. No matter what they do, but just because you want to take that last breath, you will fight. You will fight. So I will confess that you have to find that place inside of you where you have that desire to live, and you have to fight until you get it. Because there is a repression that is in every one of us. The greatest repression that is in the world, it is the knowledge of self, and how for us to come out of this bracket where they stifling us with, because when you have to search your own heart, the greatest desire you have in your own heart is to know who you are. And because we were raised in a society where they did not educate us of who we are, this is the greatest repression that the human society have, is to have the true knowledge of who you are. And so what we will say for that is that we're coming to an end. I just want to thank you so much, Teresa. Always when I come in this place and I see you, I'm always happy to see you. Always a pleasure coming in this place and enjoy the time with the wonderful brothers and sisters in this wonderful place. And the conversation and the topics that the director always come up with, it's always challenging and make you think and make you search your own self to find the answer. I think it's a wonderful gift that the director is challenging us so deeply to see the meaning of things, especially it's like we're at school, because we are learning. When we come here, it's not something that's planned. He gave it to you right here, and what is it that you are coming with? What is it about yourself that you are putting out? And I think the challenge is very interesting. And if we could get others with that can sit on the panel with us, it will. Or it's not like you in school where the teacher give you a homework and you go and study. No, it's right here. So let me see what you are made of. And I think that is where the challenge lies with us right here, because you're in the school of learning right here. And I want to thank Papa T.
And speaking of challenges, there will be a real challenge if you guys actually subscribe and like and make comments.
Two-tone L-E-L-N-E-S-S-N, yes, we are the very best. When I was popping collars.
dollars eating shrimp by the dollar. Met some girls from Guatemala, now they trying to holler.
Now before they wouldn't bother, now I'm trying to be a scholar, cause she giving all the knowledge to me.
Knowledge to me.
Doing her work every night of the week.
Night of the week.
Like she chillin' up at college with me.
College with me, but we cruising, man. Rolling up at 4:30. Kush same color as a Kobe Road jersey. Or a throw